That ain't hunger, that's famine. You better check twice, he's pretty dirty.
Step back in time to an era where the unusual was ordinary and the unbelievable was just another day. In the Wild West, frontier life was filled with strange acts that today would leave us wide-eyed. From dining with outlaws to bathing once a month, these peculiar customs were part of everyday existence. Ready to saddle up? Join us as we delve into the fascinating world of the Wild West, where the norms were anything but normal. You won't believe what was considered just plain old routine. Number 1. Public hangings as community gatherings. In the Wild West, public hangings were more than just a method of dispensing societal line. The gallows, often erected in a prominent spot, became a stage where the drama of justice unfolded, with the accused playing the lead role in their final act. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of anticipation and solemnity, a community united in the ritual of witnessing justice served, or so it seemed. While some attendees watched with morbid curiosity, others came to reflect on the moral lessons being publicly dispensed. Yet beneath the surface of this spectacle lay a complex web of human emotions and societal dynamics. Public hangings exposed the thin veneer of order in a land where vigilantism often supplanted formal legal proceedings. They were a stark illustration of community-approved violence, where the crowd's cheers could drown out the condemned's final due, tar and feathering offenders as common justice. In the rugged terrain of the Wild West, justice often took on a form as raw and unrefined as the landscape itself. Among the most infamous punishments was tar and feathering, a brutal spectacle that served as both punishment and public humiliation. Picture this: a town square buzzing with anticipation as a wrongdoer, stripped of dignity, is forcibly paraded before neighbors and strangers alike. The air is thick with tension, whispers and murmurs blending with the crackling of a cauldron filled with bubbling tar. This punishment, with roots in medieval Europe, found its way across the Atlantic and became a favored method of vigilante justice in America. The offender's skin wound. It stripped individuals of their dignity and identity, turning them into walking symbols of disgrace. This was a social death sentence, meant to serve as a warning to anyone considering defying community norms or authority. The crowd gathered to witness this public shaming would carry away more than just memories of the event. They left with a reinforced understanding of societal boundaries and the harsh consequences of stepping beyond them. Number 3. Scalping enemies and keeping trophies. In the chaotic and lawless Wild West, scalping emerged as a brutal practice that left an indelible mark on both its victims and the communities involved. Imagine the stark reality of frontier life, where survival often meant adopting the harshest measures. Full of revenge and a method of psychological warfare, leaving physical scars as well as deep emotional trauma for survivors. The process involved cutting away a portion of the scalp from a living or dead victim with a sharp blade, a brutal act that left the victim with a painful, often fatal wound. For those who survived, the physical scars were a constant reminder of the violence endured. Communities were left haunted, their social fabric torn by the fear and hatred that scalping propagated. In this grim dance of retribution, scalps became trophies, proof of dominance, and an unsettling reminder of the cycle of violence that plagued the frontier. These grisly keepsakes were often displayed or traded, further dehumanizing the victims and perpetuating the cycle of brutality. And symbolic. This brutal method was employed to ensure that a criminal's misdeed was visible to all, serving as a permanent badge of shame. The process was as harrowing as it sounds. Offenders, typically thieves, or those who had violated the strict moral codes of the time, were restrained while a heated iron, often marked with a letter like T for thief or H for horse thief, was pressed onto their skin. The searing pain was matched only by the lasting stigma the brand carried. Once marked, these individuals found themselves ostracized, often unable to reintegrate into society, as their brand served as a constant reminder of their past transgressions. Branding was more than a punishment. It was a deterrent. It reflected a society that went to uphold their version of justice and the enduring impact such practices had on those who bore their scars. Number 5. Cowboys wearing derby hats instead of iconic cowboy hats. In the popular imagination, cowboys are inseparable from their iconic wide-brimmed Stetson hats, but historical reality paints a different picture. In the Wild West, the derby or bowler hat was actually the headgear of choice for many cowboys. This unexpected fashion choice was more than a mere style statement. It was a practical decision rooted in the tough and unpredictable life of the American frontier. The derby hat, with its rounded crown and sturdy construction, offered durability and protection against the elements, a crucial factor for cowboys who spent long days under the sun and nights while posing with a casual confidence that defies modern stereotypes. This choice of headgear signified not just practicality, but also a connection to the burgeoning fashion trends of the time, highlighting the blend of rugged frontier life with urban influences. As the cowboy image evolved, the Stetson eventually overshadowed these early fashion choices, becoming synonymous with the cowboy identity. However, the derby hat remains a fascinating reminder of the diverse influences that shaped the Wild West. It underscores how practicality often dictated style, even in an era romanticized for its untamed spirit and larger-than-life legends. Exploring this lesser-known aspect of cowboy culture offers a fresh perspective that characterized the era. Imagine stepping into the boots of a woman in the 1800s, donning men's attire not just for disguise, but as a tool of empowerment and subversion in a male-dominated world. The motivations behind such transformations were varied. For some, it was a means of escaping the rigid confines of gender roles, allowing them to navigate spaces and opportunities otherwise denied to them. For others, it was a strategic move in executing heists or other criminal activities, leveraging the element of surprise against unsuspecting victims and law enforcement. One famous example is Pearl Hart, who became notorious for her stagecoach robbery in Arizona. Dressed as a man, she defied the expectations of her time, not only pulling off the heist, but also captivating, served as a way for families to memorialize those they had lost in an era when photographs were rare and precious. Imagine a time when capturing someone's likeness while they were alive was a significant event, often reserved for special occasions. In death, these images became even more cherished, providing a tangible connection to those who had passed. The process involved carefully posing the deceased, often in lifelike positions, sometimes surrounded by family members or personal belongings. Photographers would use props to create the illusion of life, such as standing frames or chairs, and often applied makeup to give the subject a more natural appearance. In some photographs, eyes were painted onto closed eyelids to simulate wakefulness, enhancing the eerie yet tender attempt to capture a final